Well, there used to be tension because Iran was at one of the longest wars ever for 8 years. They were
Eight
at
year
war,
war.
8 year war with Iraq. With Saddam Hussein's like, yeah, I'm gonna take over Iran in like a day. Because they saw an opportunity right after the revolution in Iran, where our King Shah was like overturned, and then another person comes in, and now it becomes like Islamic Republic instead of a kingdom.
Okay.
So it goes on a huge overhaul, and they see an opportunity
Like instability.
yeah, like that's a huge opportunity for them, and obviously they're backed by other people in the shadows, like because it's not just Saddam Hussein getting drunk one night. What? I want to take that land, man. That's not it. Like he's got support, he's got weapons, he's got plenty of support from other places, not officially, and
the shadows.
Yeah, and they go to war for 8 years, and it was like 40 years ago. Ultimately it's very new, like on a grand scheme of things. 40 years, like that's like basically like it could be possibly half of someone's lifetime. Like I'll be 40
Decades.
I'll be 40 very soon, so it's
Your
like
whole
40
life.
years. Yeah, so that happens, but they officially there's like a truce after 8 years, so they don't take anything or whatever, but officially no one even helps Iran. So what happens, like, because right now Russia
in your opinion, why not?
I'll tell you. So like right now, like Russia invades, and they're like, oh, it's unjust, it's taking land and it's doing all of that, or like but as soon as like US invades Afghanistan or Iraq, it's like, oh, they're overthrowing like a dictator. But they didn't attack Iraq when Iraq invaded Iran. For 8 years they didn't do anything. In your media, like, oh, everything was good, guys.
Yeah.
But as soon as Saddam Hussein, after 8 years of war, it attacks Kuwait. Right after they invade Kuwait, like this much of a country, it's like this much. Iran's like huge, and as soon as they invade, the US attacks Iraq because Kuwait is their allies or something. That's their whatever
allies
and
partnerships.
But the thing is, like for so many years, like I don't know, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years, the US and Iran were like the besties of the best. Iranians 40 years ago, 41 years ago, didn't even need to apply for a visa. They just go to the US 40 years ago. It's not long. Go to the US, not a problem. Iranian, hell yeah, please come on in. But because the Shah was no longer in power, the whole regime changed, now all ties are cut. So you get into a war, good luck. No humanitarian. Australia is not helping, no other countries helping. It's all politics. So like people, they're just living their lives. They're getting invaded, they're getting wrecked. But everyone's like, yeah, all good. No one even knows about it.
Wall.
But like if they want you to know about something else, you know about it. Like about
depending on the
all
agenda,
the cruel things that Putin is doing to Ukraine, but you don't even know there was a war between Iraq and Iran.
Or similar thing.
Rather. So that's where being fed whatever information, algorithms, people in media, it's like, so you gotta always like
back then it would have been different. 40 years ago we wouldn't have had algorithms intervening, but still it'd be worse.
No, you still had TV,
TV propaganda.
Yeah, so it's interesting how people are getting control in terms of how they're seeing some things over the long term, over all these things. But what I was very surprised, and this might be confidential.
Oh, confidential.
Somehow secret.
Edit this part out.
Is that no one helped Iran during those times, like officially,
like
or
meaningful
anything?
Help?
Yeah, like how they're sending so many support or whatever. They're like, nah, screw you guys for some reason. And Iraq was using chemical weapons. It's all documented and real. Like, but apparently one country helped Iran real well. And but it's all cloak and dagger kind of a help behind the shadows, behind the closed door. It's not official. Even Iran is denying that help, but it's documented. it's also on Wikipedia, that one country really helped Iran. Can you guess?
Russia?
Let's go a bit more like something like who's Iran, like, if you know, is like the like in current conflict with.
Oh, US?
Nah. Well,
No?
yeah, that's
Okay.
good.
Iraq?
No. Right now, they own Iraq. They own like all those regions, Syria, Iran, like indirectly because of their influence, and that's why
Okay.
the
With the
Arab
people?
states, with the governments, the people are always like 50% there, whatever there. But like in terms of actual influence, Iran has heaps of influence in Iraq. They have heaps of influence.
How
in
do they gain that?
Yemen, in Syria, in Lebanon. They own a lot of different things in that sense. So the influence comes, these are like long topics, but like there are all these ties with their highest authority political parties, right? And they provide like support and help, money, weapons, like Iran supplies all those kind of things. And they just have those influences. Just like how the US has influence over other countries in terms of their connections and parties in that sense. Like, oh, mate, do this and we'll give you this and we'll do that. They have influence. Iran has its own influence. Russia has its own influence within their own domain and countries that they deal with.